Well, hi, Carolyn. Thank you for joining us today. This is probably a little bit different kind of a game day than you're used to.
Hi, Mindy. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's honestly anything for Tri Delta, I will always be more than willing to do. And I have to apologize for taking you away from the Texas OU game. I know that this is like your Christmas, but I promise to keep it very quick.
For our audience, we're taping this a week out from game day. So this is Texas OU weekend. The game is in its third overtime, and we've been trying to delay this interview, but we can't delay it anymore. So I've hit the pause button. I'll be okay. Um, as
All of
long
the
as
noise is blocked out. We don't know anything that's going on.
right, we're all good. We're all good. So I want to know, has sports always been a passion for you? Is this something that was always part of your life, or did it grow in college, or how did you end up sort of being into this?
Yeah. So sports have always been a part of my life. My dad played college football. I grew up in St. Louis, which is a massive sports city. So ever since I can remember, on Saturdays we had college games on, and Sundays we had on, and we had season tickets to the Rams when they were in St. Louis. We had season tickets to the Cardinals. So that was just everything to me. Ever since I was a kid, sports were everything. I learned how to fill out a baseball scorecard before I knew how to do my multiplication tables. And my absolute heroes growing up were all college football players, Rams players. It was just that was the norm to me, was just being absolutely head over heels in love with sports.
I think it's fun when it's handed down in families like that. That's very similar to how my sort of love of sports came from having season tickets to Rangers, and it's fun when it's handed down like that. I think. Have you had sort of any pinch me moments yet? Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have this job and I just met so and so.
Actually, yes. So I had the coolest opportunity to go to the national championship this past year. And as an LSU grad, that was just the absolute coolest experience, getting to go to the national championship the year after I graduated and being able to represent ESPN there. It was a great professional experience, just having that thing under my belt and meeting all of these incredible people and being in that super big, like fast paced, high energy environment was an incredible career experience. But also as a football fan, it didn't quite feel real. It was like you just have to step back and look around and see hundreds of thousands of fans all screaming and all of these cameras flickering, and it's like, wow, I am in the middle of this. And then I got to talk to Vince Vaughn. We were doing a show on the field at the national championship, and the producer that I was working with that day said, "That's Vince Vaughn. Go grab him." And I was like, "Me? You want me to go grab Vince
Yeah.
Vaughn?" So yeah, him. So I just kind of like swallowed my pride a little bit, and I was like, "Okay, don't be starstruck. Breathe." So I got to chat with him, and he was the nicest guy ever. We just chatted football, talked about the game. He lives in Louisiana, so kind of just gave our little LSU Tiger cheers for that. So that was just an incredible experience. And honestly, really every day, whenever I'm walking through the halls, I'll see a different athlete or a different ESPN talent, and it's like, wow, I really am at the epicenter of sports. And it's really really cool to be a part of that, even just a small part in this massive machine. It really is an honor, and it's such a cool opportunity.
It sounds amazing. I'm wondering, it's an industry. There are very few women in sports journalism. There's obviously more each year. I feel like I'm starting to see more and more out there. And I know it's a really tough business to break into. How did you
It
get
is.
your start?
So I got my start just getting my first initial experiences at LSU. I was a part of Tiger TV, which is LSU's student-run news station. So I was a sports reporter there, and that's where I got experience covering games as a student, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, anything and everything. And that's how I knew, okay, this is really what I want to do. It's a very odd industry. You work nights and weekends and weird hours. I'm at work today on a Saturday, but that's just part of it. So that's where I really learned, like, okay, this is something that I can do. And it is tough. It was tough in the beginning, and it still is tough. But that's how I kind of got into it. And then I was given a really great opportunity to intern at ESPN last summer. So that's how I started my career here. And then I was offered a full time position after my internship. But any advice to women wanting to get in sports is just keep going. It's tough. It's hard. You have to prepare twice as much to be respected half as much. And it's difficult because you just assume that men know and love about sports, and you don't do that with women. And you almost feel like you have to prove yourself to people when you say that you do work in sports. Their first question is, okay, who was the linebacker's best friend's hairdresser in 1985? Like the most obscure questions, and it gets incredibly frustrating. But you just have to know your worth, and you have to know that you do this job for a reason because you love it, and it's hard sometimes, but it's so worth it. And there are so few women in sports, so there is this very tight-knit network of women that's all so incredibly supportive. There are women that I've never even met before who may reach out to me on Twitter, who watch my work, and who say, hey, I see what you're doing is really cool. Can I talk to you for a minute? And I'll do the same to others. And women in sports are so uplifting and so willing to help one another because we know how hard it is. We've been there. So I just am indebted to all the women who came before me and paved the way for me to do what I want to do. But I also take so much pride in the fact that I hope that I'm doing that for women who want to be in sports in the future. I hope I make their job just a little bit easier.
I love that that's almost like a second sisterhood for you.
It really is.
Banded together to help each other. How did your Tri Delta experience, your leadership experience in Tri Delta, prepare you for your career?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was accountability, knowing that I am such a small part of a huge organization, not just on my campus, but Tri Delta Nationals. So just knowing that, okay, I play an important role here, and knowing that if I don't do it, it won't get done. And so that has made me a better friend, a better person, a better employee. It applies to all areas of life, not just sports. And it also has taught me to be super proud of what you do. I think sometimes being a leader in Tri Delta may be a thankless job. There might be so many things that you do behind the scenes that you don't get credit for. And that's okay. It's just knowing that, like, okay, I did a job well done, and that I've been able to be a lot more intrinsically motivated, learning how to just take the victories where I can get them, and just knowing that, like, okay, I did my job and I don't need to thank you for it. And just having that support system in Tri Delta. I very much so would not be where I am today without Tri Del. I made friends that have supported me so much throughout this entire process, who pushed me to keep going even when I really didn't want to. And, people have said, it's okay if you can't come thing when you have a really important professional networking event that you need to go to or a game that you need to go cover. Everyone is very supportive, and that's carried through my professional experience as well, post grad. Seeing what other sorority women, Tri Deltas or not, what they're doing in the industry, and having that automatic bond with someone has just been super valuable. And to all of you college women out there, keep those relationships, because it truly does. It carries on for life.
I love it. Tri Delta is for life. That's exactly
right.
Tri
Delta is for life.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit of football here before we finish. Yeah. It has been such a weird year as we navigate COVID, and the Pac-12 and the Big Ten haven't even played yet, and so many strange things going on. Big teams losing. I'm really sorry. My condolences about LSU. I have the only undefeated team in the country right now. Off my soapbox. What should we be expecting? What do you think it's good? I mean, we get down the line here to the playoffs and bowl season. What should we be watching for and looking at?
If I've learned anything from the past few weeks of football this season, it's expect the unexpected. It's so strange because normally whenever you're going to a college football season, you have months of spring practice and you had your spring game and you understand your offensive scheme and you kind of have become this cohesive unit with your team. And that's something that the teams this year didn't have the opportunity to do. And sometimes you get those easier games at the beginning of your schedule kind of cherry picked in there to kind of alleviate the stress of a really tough schedule, especially in the SEC and the Big Ten, Big 12, all those big conferences. You don't have that anymore. So when your first game is against Alabama, or when your first game is against Texas, it's really tough to kind of get your footing. So all of these teams that we thought were going to be powerhouses this year aren't necessarily doing that. So I don't know what to expect. The playoff season is going to be so different and weird, but I'm excited for it. I know, unfortunately, my Tigers don't really seem like they're going to pull it out this year, but it's been fun to see, in the past in college football, it's always Alabama, Clemson, your teams that you expect to do well. But this year, things are getting kind of shaken up. So it's a good thing for college football, not a good thing for my college football team, but that's okay.
I do think it's still going to be fun to watch. It's been one of those things that's brought back, like getting to watch Texas OU today was a little bit normal in such a weird year. So thank you for being a part of bringing some normalcy back to our lives. And we will certainly watch you and watch what ESPN is doing. We're so proud of you for the trails that you're blazing and the advice you've given us and how you represent Tri Delta. So thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much, Mindy.